Welcome to another episode of Your Music is Bad and You Should Feel Bad with Matt and Blake. He's Matt, I'm Blake, and today we're going to talk about Mike Portnoy's struggles with his CPAP machine. Or no, it's Parasomnia, I think is what we decided it's called. It's very silly. There's stuff about a hat man. I don't know what's going on. Do you, Matt?
No, I mean, I've been referring to it as Dream Theater's Nocturnal emissions, but both of that and Mike's CPAP would have probably been more interesting topics than what they actually did.
Matt, I'm getting the impression you don't particularly like this album.
Well, it's okay. So if you like Dream Theater and you like what they've done for the past 20 years, well, no, maybe that's too much. At least the last 15 years, because basically they ran out of ideas probably about 15, maybe it's 20 at this point.
Some would say in the 90s, many would say Awake,
I mean,
which was 94.
I would make an argument up to the late 90s, and then I would say then they got the first decade of the 2000s, they kept it vaguely interesting by basically copying contemporary artists and then like sounding like Tool, and then integrating that with their diddly-doos and shtick. But then after that, they just started to kind of repeat themselves. And then Mike Portnoy literally left because he was like, maybe we should take a break so we can like recharge our batteries, get some new ideas. And they were like, nope, got to get paid. And you know what though? I thought he was right, but after he came back and did this album, I kind of think he was wrong. I don't think it helped.
Yeah. So I keep coming back to two ways of looking at this album, because I like listening to it. I've been listening to it kind of on repeat for the last handful of days, and it's not at all an unpleasant listen. There's not like glaring flaws per se, but you don't have to look at it this way. I look at it this way. If you're a big Dream Theater fan and you want more Dream Theater and you want capital P prog as a genre, you probably like this. You probably enjoy this a lot. If you wanted progressive music, this is not that at all. There is nothing new under the sun here. There's a lot of callbacks, and Dream Theater is well known for their callbacks and their themes, and that's, again, another thing you probably signed up for if you're, hey, new Dream Theater. Well, new, quote unquote. It's Dream Theater again with Portnoy again. And he sounds good, and they sound good, but we've heard this sound before. And that's not necessarily bad, but it's not progressive.
And like you said, there are these like references, but they're references to other Dream Theater. And it's like, it's one thing when they reuse themes within a piece, within an album, but when you reuse themes from other albums or like references to like other... like, that's just like proving the point that they're out of ideas and doing the same thing. Like, everything on this album sounds like something from a different Dream Theater album. They constantly sound like they're quoting themselves, but then it's obvious when they're doing it on purpose. And then the rest of the time, they're not doing it on purpose, but it's still happening. It's just all... There was one song, I'm not sure which one it was because it wasn't like it was good or anything, but it started with a riff that I thought was kind of cool. And I was like, all right, yeah, that's not bad. And then they followed that riff with 3 other riffs that didn't have any connection to that riff musically, but sounded like other Dream Theater cliches. And maybe I'm not even sure. It might have been Midnight Messiah, but
it doesn't matter.
It was just like, it so doesn't matter because it wasn't like...
song.
It didn't make me go back and listen to it. It was just one song where it was like one riff and I was like, oh, okay, that's an okay riff. And then another riff that was like, nope, that was a super like obvious Dream Theater riff. And there was a lot of this happens in the 20-minute song about the Hat Man, which is hilarious because when they announced this album and they said it's Parasomnia and they showed the cover, I was like, did they do a concept album about the Hat Man? No, they did not. But there's a 20-minute song at the end of it about the Hat Man. Like their epic is about the Hat Man.
That's the whole thing. And honestly, I like that song. It's, I think, one of the 2 best songs on here, despite the fact that it is 20 minutes of pulling on it.
Yeah.
Right out there front.
Well, right,
but
and it's
but it's a good song for Dream Theater.
I'm sure it's got moments
for what Dream Theater does now.
Right. Well, you know what? It's got a lot of instrumental parts, and
it does.
That's probably good for this album because the lyrics are so bad. Like, I think they're
The lyrics have gone to shit.
possibly like career low bad lyrics
They're
because
not good.
they've been doing like mediocre to bad lyrics for years, and I feel like it's just been so much, well, that's what we do, and these are fine, and then it's just gotten worse and worse, and now they're just so bad. We'll look at some examples in a little bit because there's a few where I was just like,
Oh,
holy
good.
crap.
Good. I'm
But
glad you've got specifics because they're so not memorable.
yeah,
There are two things I remember mostly from this album. One is the second to last song, Bend the Clock, has a neat little hook after the boring, really slow intro that kind of sucks. And then they have that cool hook, and then they get away from it and kind of mash it into oblivion, and it turns into crap. It comes back later, but it's eh. And then I do like the 20 minutes worth of Widdly Woos and Hatman bullshit, but the cheese is the cheesiest he's ever been in all the worst ways. His voice
yeah,
isn't what it was. The lyrics are bad. His voice not being what it was with bad lyrics makes it that much worse. And anytime they try to like tell a story or here's a metal ballad or whatever the hell's going on, pay attention to our lyrics. Shit, why? I don't want that at all. This is going to be a boring thing that we've heard some variety of again 5-6 times before. Dude, fucking do something new.
absolutely. The 20-minute song about the Hat Man, I can't believe they did that.
What was
It
it
starts
actually
with
called? It's probably got an actual title.
the Shadow Man incident.
Oh, as long as it's not The Nightman Cometh or something like that.
Which at first I thought was like, oh, maybe it's not about the Hat Man, because there are like in the old school conspiracy theory, paranormal, like Art Bell, Coast to Coast call-in stories. There's the Hat Man, and there's a separate thing that's just like shadow people, where people just see like a shadow, like a dark figure, and they don't. It's not always the Hat Man. It doesn't always have a hat. The Hat Man has become particularly like an internet thing as well now because of people taking Benadryl, right? Like a dangerous amount of Benadryl to see the Hat Man. Because like, if you're taking a Benadryl, you'll see the Hat Man. And it's like, it's ridiculous. And so, but that also just shows that they didn't do their research, because they've definitely mentioned the hat. They mentioned the Hat Man, and yet they don't mention Benadryl at all.
Or even Ambien, the lazy way out.
No, man. So it starts with one of these sort of clearly either a cliche Dream Theater type of riff or a obvious reference to another Dream Theater piece, which is like that kind of like the Holtz Planets Mars thing that is also Symphony X did like a literal quote of at one point. But basically for Dream Theater, it was like Metropolis and Scenes from a Memory. They use that like dun, 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 kind of thing. And it's not the same rhythm. It's a different rhythm, but it's the same type of thing. And for them, it doesn't just like, because like, I mean, other prog bands have done a similar kind of thing. It's pre-gent, like you play one note and do it in a prog rhythm kind of thing. But the way they did it to me was so like obviously sounded like the Metropolis one only. But then what bothered me more than that was that the next riff after it just was like, all right, we're done with that. Here's something totally different. And it was like there's a lot of that in prog where you do an abrupt shift, but there's still a difference between an abrupt shift that has like a contrast to it and clearly just like, here's a totally different riff. Because I don't know, there's like 3 intros to the Hat Man song, because there's there's the next riff, and then a totally different thing with like the slow, clean, the melodic part comes in. And so it was just like all over the place.
There's another thing I want to talk about that is very related to what you're talking about. There are classic, iconic prog bands like, say, Kansas. Kansas is a band that had riffs, and they would hit a riff for a while and then fuck off onto another riff. But all these riffs were not just riffs, they were hooks. These were parts of a song that you'd remember because they were really well-written musical fucking hooks. This album has like 2 hooks in it at all. Where are the hooks? Where are the memorable musical parts? You've written a lot of fucking around parts, and that's great. That's Dream Theater. You're supposed to fuck around. But there's nothing that sticks. Yeah, maybe we don't always want music that's super sticky to the brain, but yeah, some of it we do. that's kind of one of the things that makes albums classics is that we can remember them. There's something worth remembering. There's almost none of that here. So you can change shit all you like, but change it from a thing we're going to remember to another thing we're going to remember. Right a hook.
Yeah, and I think what makes that worse is that I think they think they're writing hooks because a lot of the choruses are just like very simple sing-songy melodies. They're just not
No, they're
very
just
good
bad.
or interesting melodies. And I think at some point they decided like that was part of their formula. They gave themselves permission to write these boring, like again, very consonant, like straightforward melodies, which, yeah, you'll remember them if you listen to the album 10 times in a row. But I don't plan on giving myself Stockholm syndrome with this album because I don't feel the need to listen to it again. Like there's so let me say something positive to just shake things up a little bit. It does sound good, and
Absolutely.
even though like Petrucci, like I don't think he ever has like bad tone. Although some of the things he's done with his tone in the last few years, I wasn't always crazy about, but it was still always a variation on his general kind of tone. But I thought the tone was very good on this. And it turns out Andy Sneap,
Oh,
I
good.
believe,
Sandy again, who we
produced
miscredited.
and
What?
mixed. And like that would make sense because Andy Sneap is the perfect guy to take a tone that has like too much going on and cut out the unnecessary parts and like hone it. Like I think a lot of the never he did when he worked with Nevermore, Dead Heart in a Dead World is their first album with this
Production?
is a process. Yeah, well, with seven strings, it's a certain type of production. Actually, I would say like Dreaming Neon Black
Decent?
is
Decent production?
decent. No, Dreaming Neon Black has some good stuff. Like, but I think part of that might also just be because he borrowed a Triaxis. But Dead Heart and Dead World shouldn't sound as good as it does because the seven string isn't a real seven string. It's like a guitar that he like they drilled a hole and added the seventh string or something like that.
Right.
And it's like way too thick of a string. Like it shouldn't sound good. And I think Andy Sneap just knows how to EQ it into shape. And then he did the
Or got
same
lucky?
thing. He did the same thing on Enemies of Reality where it sounded bad when it came out because they had someone else mix it. I think Kevin Shirley, who ironically has done a lot with Dream Theater,
Oh,
but
good.
or wait, no, wait, am I getting that confused with? Yeah, I am. Hold on. No, I'm sorry.
Hard
I'm
to say
sorry.
by
Sorry
me.
to Kevin Shirley.
I certainly don't know
Um,
those guys.
it was Kelly Gray. Sorry,
I've heard that
because
name. That sounds familiar.
Kelly Gray, right? Because Kelly Gray is the guy who was in Queensryche for a while, just because he's
That's
buddies with
why.
Jeff Tate, but his
That's
guitar
why.
playing sucks. And so yeah, so he mixed this Nevermore album all muddy and crappy sounding, and then Andy Sneap came in and remixed it, and it sounds fantastic because he knows how to EQ those guitars, take out the frequencies that make it sound like poop, and you take out the poopy frequencies, and it rocks. And so it doesn't even have to be a good tone going in. He can just, like cut it into shape. But granted, I'm sure, I mean, I don't know. Some Nevermore tones are definitely good. Some, who knows? But Dream Theater, my only complaint about Petrucci's tone over the years is that this idea he has about he wants it to be like rich chocolate cake where there's like layers. Okay, well, there's too many layers. It's too rich. It's too thick. And sometimes it takes up all the frequency space. And Andy Sneap probably is like, no, take these frequencies away, take these frequencies away. There, now it sounds good. And it sounds great. And on this album too, it sounds really good. So that was one positive thing is all the riffs where I was like, oh, this sounds like a riff I've heard before, but the tone's good.
There you go. I will say there were a couple of other like just pure audio positives that I'll give them. I could hear Myung on a few tracks, which they've
Oh,
been really fucking terrible at doing for a long
yeah,
time. And
yeah.
it was nice. It's like there is a really good bass player playing on this track, and I can hear it. So that was nice. And then there were a couple of places where, yeah, the tone was really good. Portnoy sounded exactly like Portnoy, which is good. I like it when things sound like Portnoy. It doesn't sound completely soulless like Mangini. Some would argue that Portnoy doesn't have a lot of soul to his drumming, and they're not necessarily wrong. But I do like his tone and his personal flair on things. I'm not a drummer. I can't speak drummer, but he sounded really good.
Yeah, and it did sound like, I was hoping when he rejoined the band, maybe there'd be something worth where I would be more excited about it. And I wasn't, but I will say there is still a difference. I'm sure he's more involved in the writing too. I'm sure that's part of it. And there are definitely some moments with distinct drum parts where you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely Portnoy. That sounds like Dream Theater, classic Dream Theater. The only problem being that they had already done a few albums of like being out of ideas before he left. And so it's like they picked up right where they left off, which was still out of ideas. If you like the stuff they've been doing, you should love this album. It's probably fantastic for you, and especially if you can tune out the lyrics and ignore the Hat Man and the
goodness
stuff about sleep. It's they really like it's funny because like I would say they do what I would tell other bands to do, which is like there's a concept, there's something, a jumping off point, like, oh, let's, Parasomnia is like sleep disorders and sleep related mythology or whatever. But then they do it so bad, and they just, like, you can tell, like, oh, we read, they kind of did this with 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence to varying degrees too, where like they read, psychological case studies and then wrote songs about it. And there's maybe 1 or 2 where it kind of worked. And then there's a bunch where it was like, yeah, we can tell that you didn't have anything to say about this. You just took it and were like, how I make lyric for song, and this was like a perfect example of that. I'm going to grab the lyrics because
God, this ought to be good. I think I remember some of the lyrics from what was probably the most embarrassing lyrical song I can remember for them. Dead Asleep.
Yes. No, that is the worst one, unquestionably.
Holy shit.
One where I was like...
Just like right there in the title. Dead Asleep. I can remember I was dead asleep. Are you serious?
In my notes, Dead Asleep, most embarrassing lyrics.
So bad. Like, and delivered so seriously. No tongue-in-cheek, no sense of humor. We've named a song Dead Asleep about killing a guy's wife in his sleep.
Yeah. It's that thing where, and again, whenever they try to be like, here is what happened in the story, like, back on Metropolis Scenes from Memory, they did that. It was like the worst parts where they were like, the witness ran call for resistance. It's like, just no, you're trying to be too like, and this happened, and then this happened, and that's this whole song. And then the chorus is just so cheesy. Wake up, what have I done? I was dead asleep. Wake up, can you send someone? I'm not insane. I was dead asleep.
It's so bad.
And then at the end, it's like he's pardoned. Like, it was probably based on a true story. Like, we strongly suspect you're feeling a sense of despair. No one knows of the guilt that you bear. In the eyes of the law, you are free. You are innocent. Well, and it just instrumental outro, because what the fuck else?
Okay, it's
oh yeah, it's really bad. Another note I had was terrible Foley work.
Oh no!
Because they decided to do the thing like on Scenes from Memory where they begin and end with like sound effects and setting
traffic and the alarm clock and shit like that. And it does nothing, adds nothing.
And a bunch of it, it's just, again, maybe because I was listening to half of this in the car, but I was just like, I hear sounds. I don't know what the fuck's going on though. Like
I think there was supposed to be traffic, but I don't know why a guy was sleeping in traffic.
Maybe he lives in a city, so he's hearing like out his window, but like it was bad. It was just, I don't know, like they try so hard. And then there's one part, the only good part to the Foley work and sound effects or whatever is at the end when it's like, wake up, wake up, wake up, because I had fallen asleep because I was so bored. It's like, oh, thank you. That was actually helpful.
No.
Thank you for waking me up. From I
saw a person on the internet saying that there was some syncing of the timing of that wake up with some other very long song they had, or something about the 1928 being like the year of one of their other things. I don't know enough about the lore here or care.
Right. So Scenes from a Memory, their concept album that is a sequel to Metropolis, but has nothing to do with it. And that is based on the movie Dead Again, starring Kenneth Branagh and I think Emma Thompson and
English people.
Yes. It's partially set in 1928. That was the other one. They had like excessive Foley work, and some of it worked. Like it starts with a hypnotist, and you hear like the clock ticking, and it says the thing. That was okay. But then at the end, there's this really long, drawn out Foley part where like the guy comes and murders the lady and whatever. But there's all this like foot trudging, crunchy
Oh, like in that terrible part of the one Camelot track, where he's except for that actually didn't sound terrible. It was like he's in the snow and it's cold,
Yeah.
and that
No,
was
this was,
it.
yeah,
It was
except that this
clear.
was like, there were parts of it, you knew what was going on, but then it went on too long. And I get it. There's like, we're telling the story, but now it's, yeah, but there was a whole wake up thing because of the hypnosis thing. And then the guy is really the woman who was murdered before. And then the hypnotist realizes he's really the guy who murdered him in the past. And then when he realizes that, he decides to murder him again. And so, yeah, and there's a whole like wake up thing. And so, again, it's another reference to another album, but that doesn't make any sense and has no reason for it other than we're referencing ourselves just to be like, hey, remember that album we did 25 years ago?
Clearly, the
Remember
hypnotist
how
is
it
the Hat
was?
Man, is what I'm hearing.
Maybe. Who would know?
No.
Hat Man, okay, let's look at the Hat Man because
Oh God. Hey, speaking of derivative stuff, I assume you've seen. I guess we talked about it a little bit. The album artwork
oh
debacle that
yeah,
has apparently
yeah.
occurred.
So
Um, what do you got? I don't
do
know
you
much about
remember the
this.
name of the other artist, Trevor?
I do not. It did not
All right,
sound like anyone major. It was
no, it wasn't, but it's okay. So but just for just the sake of, here, let me
being
find
on
it
the
in the
record about
messages.
knowing what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, and it'll
Fair
be on.
enough.
Yeah. So a much smaller, I believe, prog artist, it seems, commissioned Hugh Syme, who's a very famous artist, especially known for doing a lot of Rush's album covers and artwork. And he's done a bunch of Dream Theater ones. He's a big prog
Orion
guy.
was the band, apparently.
Yes. Ryan has about 2,000 followers on Facebook, and a very, so anyway, so like, you can tell his prog stuff. His artwork and the artwork on the Dream Theater album, they're not exactly the same because it looks like Hugh added more stuff. He took an existing work that he had, I don't know if it was a commission or if he just like licensed it to the guy, which is an important part of this because you
Oh
can
yeah.
potentially license artwork and not have exclusive rights to it. And then he added more to it for Dream Theater, and it looks like maybe colored it a little differently. And then that's the inside of their uh, artwork. But I guess it looked like it's just the inside, right? It doesn't look like the cover was necessarily reused.
I didn't pay enough attention. I thought it was just funny that there was this album that was so derivative of all this other bullshit, and then it's like, well, shit, we used someone else's
Yeah,
artwork, so that's not
yeah,
great, guys.
yeah. And again,
Not their fault, I don't think, but
it's probably partially Hugh's fault also, but I also don't care because I don't know, Hugh's done good artwork and he needs to get paid, and he
yeah,
probably doesn't get paid enough for the stuff. And whatever, the Dream Theater's whole sleep stuff and
we were asleep
fucking
at the wheel.
Hitman.
Oh wait, we didn't write that song, but we wrote that way. Jesus,
Oh my god.
yeah, it's not the best. Like I want to like it. I want to like Dream Theater moving forward, but I need them to do something. If
Yeah.
and this isn't it. This is what do we do about this? Who do we call?
Uh,
I
oh
I
no,
don't have anyone's phone number.
there's nothing to be done. Like they're too far gone anyway, because like they don't have anything to say, you know. Like, here's what I was noticing was back in the day, Images and Words and Awake, there was stuff on those albums that was based on
Amazing albums, both of them.
books. They had read books. Like I remember Voices being based on I think a book Patricia read. I think the original Metropolis was based on a book, or
Not
inspired
the
by
movie
a book.
Metropolis. I
No,
don't remember at all what the
totally not.
stuff's
No,
about. So
there's some book. And then John Myung quoted Ayn Rand in a song, and so it's maybe not great book to be reading, but prog bands used to do that a bunch. You know, it was a
yikes!
and there was no internet to tell them like to why it's bad or whatever.
Fucking do that, Jesus Christ!
But at least they were based on books, right? I'd rather
Sure.
like at least, you know, I mean, hell, you know, Rush has early. I'd prefer that and like then Dream Theater. So Metropolis Part 2 is based on the movie Dead Again, which is an okay movie. And their worst album, The Astonishing, was inspired by Game of Thrones and Disney movies that Petrucci had been watching, I think, with his kids or something like that.
That's a bad place to start.
He wanted to do a Game of Thrones, and he wanted to do something like a Disney movie musical, and the result is the worst thing they ever did, and they act like it never happened. And it's actually made the following albums even more like, oh my God, we're so sorry. We'll never try anything new again. Just the same, you know exactly what you're getting. That's what I think, like, that's what happened. They're like, exactly what you're getting. It's like no surprises. We're not going to try anything outside the box. You know exactly where the box is. We're staying in the Dream Theater box. And
wait, are you saying that a prog band got ruined by one of its musicians had sex with a woman?
No, because he had sex with her. He's been married forever. Like, they've been together forever. So, like, that's not
what happens
no,
when you
no.
have sex with a woman.
That's not what ruined them. Because and he was ruined before that. Okay. Remember, he was like, you know, I think we should give Trump a chance.
Right?
Like, there's red flags. And then the other thing was that the song from a few albums ago that they got Grammy nominated for, I don't know, maybe it won, but The Alien was James LeBrie lyric, which means it's, again, going to be the worst lyric. And somebody corrected me on this because I was saying, like, it's about Elon Musk. It's technically not about Elon Musk. It's just about buying his bullshit, because it was inspired. James LeBrie was inspired to write those lyrics based on watching Elon Musk on the Joe Rogan Experience. So we go from, like, books to movies to TV to podcasts with Joe Rogan and Elon Musk, where you think that this Elon guy's got some interesting points, and you wrote a song about it, about going to Mars and stuff and whatever. And so it was like, yeah, that's dumber and dumber and dumber. They're supposed to be a smart band. This genre of music was mistakenly supposed to be considered smart. And
that
it's
didn't
like,
happen.
no, it just means that they can go, they're smart at, like, playing
Not
music.
Not that you shouldn't watch podcasts. It's okay to watch podcasts.
Yeah, not
like
you
this
blame
one.
the medium. You don't blame the medium, but, like, I don't know. Like, you would need a if you're going to write lyrics based on a podcast, it should either be about, like, haha, look at these idiots.
Yes,
or
yes, absolutely do that.
I don't know, the podcast of somebody of some kind of significance in terms of
not being a complete fucking numbskull who's got the stupidest ideas there are. Yeah, maybe don't do that. Jesus Christ. Yes. And also, like, don't be LeBrie trying to write those lyrics in the first place.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, which one did he write on this album? Because I'm pretty sure he's just contractually...
Look, I don't
like,
care.
He gets to write a lyric per album or something.
Tell me it's Dead Asleep. It almost has to be. Either that or Midnight Messiah.
No, Midnight Messiah was Portnoy, because I looked up. I was like, who's responsible? Most of the really bad ones I was thinking of were Petrucci, because Petrucci has gotten worse and worse over the years with his lyrics. And the Hat Man was Petrucci. Oh, no, LeBrie is A Broken Man, Bend the Clock. Because he gets
damn it, I like Bend the Clock. Son of a bitch.
It's the sort of ballad of the album, you know?
The ballad parts are not the good parts. It's the guitar part that's good.
Yeah, when it stops being a ballad is when it's all right. But at the beginning, oh my God, they did this, because that's what they do now. They, before the big, long, quote unquote epic at the end, they do the, like, soft, sensitive, sort of a ballad, but then not really a ballad kind of song. So yeah,
I don't think we have a ton to say about this album, because it's so the same as the last few things, just a little worse.
Yeah, you know, again, if you like everything else Dream Theater has ever done, with the exception of The Astonishing, which never happened, and you can't prove that it did.
No, it's fine.
You will probably love this album. But if you want to hear anything that you haven't heard already on a Dream Theater album, there's nothing. And if you want to hear the worst lyrics they've ever written, if you're one of those people who, like, doesn't even register the lyrics, great. You might actually enjoy this way more. But, like, the lyrics...
But you can't. So like, you can't ignore them because it's the cheese.
I can't.
Being
but some people can.
It's how, though?
There's statistics. Some people don't hear lyrics at all. They just tune out.
Like, I do that sometimes, but I can't on this, because LeBrie's creating...
it doesn't help that it's LeBrie.
Oh.
All right. Well, I think we pretty well covered Dream Theater Nocturnal Emissions.
Yo, good.
Which one? That should have been. Should have been what the songs were about. That would be more interesting.
Yeah.
Sleep disorder. That would be more fitting with the
Or
the theme of
actually the
band.
CPAP. A lot of people our
CPAP?
age are just now getting into the CPAP struggles, and that's a real
Thinking
problem.
about how
I have one. I had to get over it.
Yeah, it makes it, you're half man, half machine. Like they were some dumb crap. Like
Well, now it's Iron Maiden, but it's fine. That would maybe be more interesting somehow, which would be sad.
There's a lot. They could have done a lot, and they didn't. Well, they did a lot. It's just a lot of
the same thing that they've done before.
Exactly.
God damn it, Dream Theater, do better.
They won't. I have
better luck
no
next
expectations. My expectations were low. I mean, to be fair, I guess well, no, the lyrics were, I think, worse than I was expecting. But everything else, the lyrics were worse, and the production, like the guitar sound, was like slightly better. Because again, it's usually like it's not bad, but Andy Sneap gave it that extra edge. There were some moments where I was like, "That's some nice tones there, some nice guitar sounds." And maybe
so
also
it averages out to no change because the lyrics were worse, the production was slightly better, and the songs didn't fucking change at all.
They cancel each other out. 20-minute song about the Hat Man. I can't believe they did that. That was just.
I can believe it.
Yeah.
2.5 out of 7.
All right. Let's pretend that we're done, and then we'll start another episode.
Well, no, we got to tell people to fucking click, like, subscribe, and yell at us.
Oh, man, I'm so bad at it. All right.
Watch some YouTube.
If you're still listen, we gotta. Okay, I gotta work on this. We gotta do it like halfway through.
Sure.
You can't actually do it at the end. That's like the worst thing. It's like if you made it to the end, you're probably already like on board. If you're like, click the like button. If you are mad or not mad about this, tell us. Well, people are going to tell us that we're wrong anyway, because I already pissed people off on Blue Sky, because they're like, that's not fair to say to just lump all the Dream Theater albums together. I'm like, no. Not all.
Almost all.
Because I said, like, if you like every other Dream Theater album besides The Astonishing, this is the same, or something like that. And they totally misunderstood what I was saying, because what I was saying was not that I wasn't saying anything but The Astonishing was bad. The Astonishing was definitely bad, because I think they were confused about even saying that. And then it was more just saying that most of the rest of them are the same. And this is familiar. Like, you've heard this before, you'll hear it again. And if you've been excited about any Dream Theater album in the past 10 years, it's probably fine. You'll probably love it.
Oh, yeah. Maybe you shouldn't.
Probably not. It's like
your music is bad, and you should feel bad. It's the title of the show, folks.
Making every prog cliche, every worst criticism of prog they've made true. They've been like, I'll show you riffs that just come one after another and don't seem connected in any way. Like,
Great.
Wait, no, don't actually. Because I used to defend that criticism as like, no, actually, stuff flows together. There's some like compositional sense to it. And they're like, we'll take care of that. Make sure that doesn't happen anymore. So here we are.
Perfect.
Right.
All right, you fuckers. Tell us we're wrong. We'll see you next time.
Do things. Yeah.